Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Knowledge is Power Podcast Live, and I'm here with my co-host, Miss Gina Taylor. Hi, Gina. How you doing there?
Hello.
Hey, and our special guest tonight is Jevonne Pollard, Constable Jevonne Pollard,
Hello. How are
Jefferson.
y'all doing?
Hey, Jefferson County Precinct One Constable, and she's running for
Yes.
re-election.
Yes. Yes,
Yes,
she
that's,
is.
man. I tell you, I was just telling me when we was backstage talking. Oh, I'm so glad I'm not in the race.
Ah,
Well,
ah.
let me just say
My
this.
mother has to remind me it's only every 4 years. So, moms kind of keep you grounded and keep you focused. And this year for us, it was a short track. So I'm grateful for that.
Yes, it really was a short track, and I'm sure glad you're going to be ready and prepared and ready for this to be over March the 6th, right?
Oh yeah, election day is March the 5th, and I've already talked to my husband about getting a hotel room that night and just turning the phone off. It's been a very fast and furious campaign, and I'm ready to unplug for sure.
Great. So this is your second reelection, or is this your third?
This will be my third term and my second reelection. I was elected in 2018, reelected in 2020, and I'm seeking to continue the work here in 2024.
And how long have you been in the law enforcement?
I started my law enforcement career in 2001. I started working for Beaumont PD actually.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been at Beaumont PD. Then, excuse me, my husband and I had started our family. And once the kids were kind of old enough to tell me what was happening in daycare, I decided to go back to work in 2008. And I went and worked for Chambers County SO from 2009 until 2013. And I've been back in Jefferson County from 2013 to now. I was able to work for the Honorable Eddie Joe Collins and the Honorable Chris Bates out in Port Arthur before I was elected in 2018.
Regina,
Oh,
I
um,
put you on the spot, did I? Well, I could ask you this. How you liking it? I mean, what are you liking about being a constable?
I will tell you, knowing that I've worked every facet of law enforcement, PD, municipal, the SO, county, work in the constable's office. The constable's office is really one of the best kept law enforcement secrets out there, especially in Texas. And the ability that we have to connect with people on such a different level is really, really probably one of my favorite things. I will say, as the elected official, even more so because I'm able to lean into community engagement a little bit more. I'm able to lean into conversations a little bit more. The beauty of a constable's office, I jokingly tell people we're the Swiss Army knife of law enforcement because we can be a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And if you look around the state, there are some constables' offices that do criminal and civil. There are some that just do civil. There are some that just do criminal. And so we have that ability to kind of, whatever our community needs, we have the ability to kind of provide that out of our office.
Do you just do your office does civil or just criminal?
Our office does civil. We're actually my office is in the county seat, Beaumont.
Hmm.
Precinct one is the largest precinct in the county, and we have the highest volume of work. And so the civil keeps us pretty busy. But there is that element because we are fully peace officers in the state of Texas. We can do law enforcement duties.
Hmm.
So we have that ability where if we want and the need arises, we can do law enforcement stuff, but your regular PD or SO can't do what we do. And so that's one of the little things that we get to kind of hang on our cap that we have that ability to jump in and out of, the criminal side at will versus, say, Beaumont PD being able to do civil. They would have to kind of call us and refer those situations to us. But precinct one, we do 90% of the work that we do is absolutely civil process.
Well, how many, how many papers do your office serve a week?
A lot. So it's it's just the way that the county is made up. It's just the fact that Beaumont is the largest city, the most densely populated. You have all these apartments going up. I think right now Beaumont's up to 135 apartment complexes. When I got started in 2018, we were at 75. So we've seen an increase, a tremendous increase in service. Right now, we're averaging about 420 to 450 papers per month. And that doesn't seem like a lot until you start looking around the county at some of the other offices. And again, this is no slight to them. They're just based off of what their populations are. But in Port Arthur, they may be averaging 20 to 50 papers a month, whereas we in our office are averaging 420 to 450 a month. So we're very busy here in Beaumont because we also feed and serve two JPs. We have JP Collins and JP Doyle.
So in your office, if we were to walk in your office, I can't say it right now because it's after 5, but tomorrow we was to walk in your office, what would your colleagues say about you?
I would think that my colleagues would say about me is that I am very demanding. I expect a lot from them, but I also give them a lot from myself. And I've always been very fair. I've always made sure that I've gone to bat for my colleagues. I've always made sure that I've prepared them very well, and made sure that they've been very well trained. And I've given them all the tools they've needed to be successful. So I would say that they're not going to say I'm a perfect boss because that doesn't exist. However, I think they would say that I'm fair and that I lead with a lot of passion. I have a lot of zeal for the office. I have a lot of zeal for community. And gratefully, thankfully, a lot of my deputies and my staff have that same type of passion, and that's shown in the community outreach that we've done. So they would say that I'm fair. I'm fair, I'm firm, and sometimes I'm pretty fun.
So firm as an aggressive firm or just strict?
Good question. Look,
Yes, it is. Yeah,
y'all
that's a
go to
good
the
question.
office tomorrow and tell me what they say. Because here's the deal. First thing, when I got into office in 2018, I came from a purely law enforcement background, and it was purely based on officer safety and professionalism. And if you look at the way that my deputies dress, if you look at the way that my deputies are suited and booted, we're a little bit different than most deputies in the county, because I believe that in law enforcement, your command presence and the way that you appear is the first thing that people see about you. And so I'm very demanding when it comes to making sure you're squared away in the way that you look, and then making sure that you're squared away in the way that you conduct yourselves. And so firm would be not aggressive, but they know my expectations, and I toe the line on that pretty closely.
So it sounds like pretty much you expect them to do their job and look apart. So that's
Yeah.
definitely not aggressive. That's
I,
just saying that I do everything in excellence, or at
we
least try
strive
to.
for it. We strive
Yeah.
for it, and stuff happens. I've had people call the office and say, "Hey, I appreciate your deputy helping me change my tire, and I appreciate this." And stuff happens. We get dirty. A lot of these rid of possessions that we do going through these houses, we get dirty, and so I understand that. I do my very best again to make sure that my guys have, and girls, because I have my chief deputy is a woman. I do my very best to make sure that they have fresh uniforms every year. We're cycling out their clothes, we're buying them new boots. I'm not asking stuff of them that I'm not equipping them to be able to deliver. You know what I mean? And so, and again, when they see me, I am in the same thing that I'm expecting of them. You're not going to see me in a jumpsuit on the street telling everybody, hey, and have a badge hanging from my neck. I'm gonna be professionally dressed and representing them well at all times when I'm at work. And so I expect the same in return.
I think that is I commend you for that, because as a woman, it's already hard to be respected in the workplace, especially if you're young and a woman, and on top of that, Black. So there's so much expectation that's coming from you in all angles, and it sounds like you handle yourself well. Well, clearly, because this is your third term. Do you have an opponent?
Yes.
Why?
So this is what I'll say. Competition is good. I think competition keeps us sharp, and competition allows us to not get into a comfortable state where we're not giving our best and we're not always on our A game. You know, what I told Tony earlier is I have no problem with people challenging incumbents if they're not doing a good job and if they're just holding a seat. I have a problem, and I see that there's been a loss of respect for incumbents that are working and doing the job. The opponent that I've had for the past 6 years, and he is just obsessed with knocking me off of this pedestal. I've prayed for him. I've asked that God give him peace and direct him to a position that I think would better suit him. You know, I told Tony, there's nothing wrong with talking about your platform and what you want to bring to the office. But I think we're crossing the line sometimes, and Jefferson County is too small. We have to see each other. We have to work with each other at some point in the future. And the things that have been going on this campaign and the things that have been said, you can't unsay these things and you can't undo these things. And I'm going to see you next month, right? We've texted each other in the past. We've given each other extra work in the past. And so I think what happens is we get sometimes too zealous for a spot, and we kind of lose our way. But yes, I have an opponent. Being opposed doesn't necessarily bother me. It gives me an opportunity to get back out there and get those juices running and flowing, and meeting with people and talking to people and just growing support. So that doesn't bother me. What does bother me is when we start borderlining on slander and when we start borderlining on just outright disrespect.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's been going on. And I was telling Tony earlier, it's very disappointing because it's our people coming at our people. And there's no place for that. Talk about what you want to do. Talk about your platform. There's no reason to be disparaging or ugly about the other person.
One of the things that I do not like about politics, and especially in Jefferson County, is that I see no reason for someone to run for a position that is being kept well.
Yeah.
And if there is small tweaks that needs to be done, that should not give the person the admiration to want to run for that position when just giving advice could help.
Yeah.
And politics gets on my nerves, just to throw that out there, just because we're in conversation. And one of the things I don't like about that is that it seems like people's motives has changed and has shifted. Like the young people say, everybody wants clout. Everybody just wants the position just to say, oh, woe is me. When if the person in the position is doing their job, why do you need to run against them?
Sometimes we jokingly say, and I think we all can attest to this, like, Gina, I've watched you and I follow you on Instagram, and you make what you do look so good and so easy. But I understand the struggle that goes on behind that, right? I understand the moments of self-doubt and the moments of self-confliction and the moments where you're wondering, is this God or is this me? But people see the end result and they don't see the journey to get there. And so they think, oh, I can do that too. But they don't understand that a lot of times these people are put in positions because they've been divinely appointed to be there. And so for me, I fully believe that where I am is because this is where I'm supposed to be. And I believe that I'm divinely appointed to be here at this time.
Come
and
on,
I feel
divine.
like Well, I feel like that divine appointment affords me some divine protection. And so even though I'm having, these situations where people are coming up against me, God's kept me through all of this. And
Mhm.
I'm always going to be very grateful to give God the praise whenever I can, because I know what my flesh wants to do. I know what
Right.
my flesh wants to say. But I posted a scripture, I think about 3 or 4 days ago, that said, "Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord." And
Amen.
so I've been leaning on that going into voting, because I know for me, Javon wants to say some things and air this place out, because your lies aren't doing anything, but I could tell the
No,
truth and ruin you. But it's
right.
not appropriate. It's
It's
not
not.
appropriate.
I wish everybody else can understand that, but
Yeah.
sometimes people win by playing dirty. But well, thank God that you have been able to still stand firm. One of the things that I admire is that when God is for you, He is more than the world against you. So no matter
Yes.
how many times He runs against you, if God ordains you to be in this seat for however long, it's going to be
Yes.
just that way. And one more thing, because I believe that he's a Christian, and one of the things that baffles me, especially with Christians, is that you should know better. And if you don't know better, do find out to know how to do better. This
Yeah.
is not the way to go. But we're not going to expand on that and expound on that. I just I commend you for doing a good job since you've been in office. You have
Thank you.
maintained your integrity, you have
Thank
maintained your
you.
position, and you stayed cute while doing it. I mean, who else can walk around in the cowgirl hat and her flared
Hey,
jeans and body be bodying and be looking good?
hey, I did it before Beyonce. I just want to make sure that I
Come
go on record.
on.
No, but and I appreciate that, and I receive that, and I just ask that y'all pray for me and all of the incumbents in Jefferson County that are doing a good job, because I want to say most all of us are being challenged by people that are just either bitter or misguided, or I don't know what. And so just keep us lifted up and keep us in prayer, because even though it's been a short track in this primary, it's been an intense race.
Right.
And I will say again, I'm not perfect. I have my faults. However, I do have an expectation of judgment,
Mm-hmm.
and I do my very best to just keep my mouth shut, because I believe in reciprocity, and I
Right.
believe that you get back what you put out. And I'm doing my very best to put good out into the world. There has to be somebody that spews the hate, and there has to be a recipient, right? And so for
Yes.
me, I
Right.
know I'm never going to be the one that spews it, because I'm too busy talking about what we're doing, and I'm too busy
Mm-hmm.
doing the work. And so I'm excited about that. We have a new program in our office right now called How Are You? And it's a program where we're going around to churches and senior communities, and we're signing people up 65 and older, just to
Mm-hmm.
receive a phone call once a week, just to check on them and ask them how they are, if they live by themselves. We've been able to help people so far with this program and get them answers to questions about housing vouchers or about resources for Alzheimer's. And so those are the things that I'm excited about in my office. Those are the things that I want to continue to push out of my office, because I believe, as an elected official and somebody that is a leader in the community, it's incumbent on us to do more and be more, and to make sure that we're reaching out into community beyond just civil process and bailiff in the courts, but actually making a tangible difference in people's lives.
Jevonne,
Yes.
let's go to the chat line, and we've got Terry Roy said hello,
Hey,
and
Terry.
he has a question, and that question is, can I read that question? Let's see here. When elected, what does Jevonne plans on doing different? Not necessarily from the job aspect, but just in general.
That's a good question. So we have a few things that are on the agenda for this next term. I'm working very feverishly to have a mental health unit out of my office, mental health isn't criminal, it's civil. And civil is what we do, it's our specialty. And around the county and other progressive parts of the county, the constable's office does the majority of the civil warrants being processed and things like that. Now, I'm not looking to step on any toes or take anything from any other law enforcement entities out here, but the idea and the goal is to focus specifically on youth mental health, working on resources to redirect the youth, because the recidivism rate right now at Meany Rogers is over 75% for the juveniles going in and out of there. And a lot of it is mental health. It is not necessarily criminal, but there is a lack of programs and things to redirect the youth to. And so the idea in these next 4 years is to really focus on youth mental health, finding partnerships within the community or within the region and working on that. So one of the main priorities in the next 4 years is an expanded juvenile mental health program out of my office. Over the past 2 years, we have been working with Spindletop. We have been a resource for them with our youth mental health. We have a great lead deputy with Theron Keys, who used to work at BISD. He has a lot of great connections at BISD, and he's helped Spindletop a lot over the past 2 years. And so what we want to do is aggressively go after this department in the next 4 years to make that a priority out of the office, is youth mental health.
Great, great, great. Now you've got a fan club here, so I'm going to post her. I don't know if she's asking a question, but I am going to post it and see, where's my board? I'm going to my board. Okay, it's up here, and I'm going to check and see what she says here. No, I'm in the wrong one. Let's go. Here we go. Who is this? Wait a minute before I go to that question. I've got another question from Terry. Does your office offer mentoring programs throughout the community?
Sure. So when you talk about mentoring programs throughout the community, I think we're going to be open to doing whatever it takes to help our youth. I know for me, I'm real big on not reinventing the wheel, but directing people where the resources may already exist. And if resources for that particular problem or that particular problem doesn't exist, then we can look at how we can engage our community partners to help be a part of developing that resource. I've talked to Miss Andrea at the Hope Center, and she has some ideas as far as mentoring. I'm real big on young women learning life skills. And when I say life skills, I mean, taking a recipe from the grocery store to the plate, sewing, understanding how to speak and talk when you're going to a mechanic shop, understanding some things of just having to deal in the real world for a young lady, and covering different aspects of that as far as presenting yourself well in a job interview, making sure that you understand the dynamics of etiquette when you're out to eat, or whatever the case may be. But then just some practical stuff, right? Like understanding how to shut the water off, or understanding where the breaker box is and what that looks like. So there's a few things that we are looking at and talking about with the Hope Center and with some other partners, but it's just going to kind of depend on what's already out there.
Okay, one more from the chat line. That is, can you read that? Can you see what it is?
Let me see. Let's see.
Resolved in smiles.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Resolved in smiles. Yeah, she says you are truly an awesome woman. An awesome woman. Greatly appreciate you by yourself and your staff and the Beaumont Police 911 from the Beaumont Police 911 Center. Well,
look, I see people all the time from my days at Beaumont PD, and I have so much love and respect for a lot of the people that are still there. And it's good to be well respected still in the community.
Yeah, she says Carolyn.
Yes. Hey, Miss Carolyn.
Yes. So early voting starts Tuesday, correct?
Oh, Tony, it came so quick. Yeah, it starts Tuesday. We're excited. We are going to be at the polls every day as often as we can be. But beyond the polls, we're still going to be knocking on doors and asking people, hey, have you voted? Did you go vote? The polls are open. We'll be making phone calls. I was at Grand Pine yesterday, and I walked in to share with the people for Valentine's Day, and it was lovely to hear people say, "Hey, I voted for you," because mail-in ballots have already come in.
Right.
So it's very nice to hear that people are excited about voting. It's great to hear that people have already voted, but we can't take that for granted, and we got to make sure that we push and get out the vote, because our numbers have been going down in recent elections. And so I want to make sure that, we can get all the votes that we can, because we have a slate of great candidates, but the work's not going to be over after March the 5th. We have some great candidates that are going on to have an election in the primary. I mean, in the general. Right. So we need that momentum.
Keep going. Continue to make it happen. Well, that's going to end this portion of the show, and I appreciate you, Jevonne, for being with us on Knowledge is Power Podcast Live. And we're going to re-elect Constable Jevonne Pollard, Jefferson.
Number one on the ballot. Punch that button February the 20th. Let's get it done February the 20th. I'm wanting everybody to go and get the voting done the first day of early voting. I'm number one on the ballot.
Gina, can't hear you. You're on mute. Can't hear you. Hear
me now?
Yes.
Okay. Congratulations on your win, because I'm speaking it into existence.
I received that. Thank you so much. Pleasure to have the opportunity to speak to you both. And I want to come back after the election is over and go into some more about what we're going to be doing going into my third term.
Okay, great. That would be wonderful. We'll look forward to you coming back on with us here at Knowledge is Power Podcast Live. You can find us on Spotify, Juvify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We're all over the place. Please join us again next Sunday, where we're going to have Miss Rashawn Webb Locke, who is running for Jefferson County Tax Assessor Office. So thank you again, Jevonne Pollard, Precinct 1 Constable. Thank you so much.
Y'all take care.
All right, bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Knowledge is Power Podcast Live. Be sure to like and subscribe to all Knowledge is Power social media pages.